Hey folks, welcome to Seawaywhiskywire. Tonight on the bar, we've got the Signal Hill Canadian Whisky. Stay tuned. Well, hey guys, thanks for coming back after the intro. I'm Tyler, and tonight on the bar, we've got ourselves an entry-level expression from Signal Hill Distillery, located way out on the east coast of Canada in Newfoundland. But before we get into the overview and the specs on this bottle of Signal Hill, if you have yourself anything from Signal Hill, maybe you got the Canadian whiskey here, the entry level like I've got on my bar, maybe you've got the Founders Select, and you want to pour yourself a dram and drink along with me, please do so. I encourage it. It makes life a heck of a lot better for you guys on the other end, and I enjoy you guys drinking along with me, especially when it's Canadian whiskey. So let me tell you guys a little bit about the Signal Hill Distillery for those of you who aren't too familiar with it. So the Signal Hill Distillery was established back in 2024, and it's located in St. John's, Newfoundland. And it draws inspiration from the historic Signal Hill site, which is a renowned site for receiving the first transatlantic wireless signal and also serving as a departure point for the first non-stop transatlantic flight. And the distillery embodies the spirit of innovation and connection through this. Signal Hill's commitment to quality has earned several accolades, including a 94-point rating at the tasting panel in 2019, which is prominently displayed right here on the bottom, and a platinum medal at the 2024 SIP Awards. The distillery's logo is inspired by ancient Norse symbol, which represents the trinity of grain, water, and barrel, the core elements in the whiskey making process. Bottled within sight of the namesake landmark, Signal Hill whiskey stands a testament to Canada's rich heritage and enduring human desire for connection. And you know, guys, this is a whiskey that I struggle to connect with sometimes at being at 40%, and we'll get into the overview of this, but it is worth definitely sharing with you guys and doing a formal review, which is why I'm doing it today, guys. So right off the get-go, I'm going to state for the specs in this bottle, 40%. I'm not usually a big fan of 40% whiskeys. Usually I kind of tend to stay away from that, more craft, more 46 plus. But this one here kind of speaks to me a little bit, and I'll share why. So we'll start off again with the specs. So number one, it's a non-age statement, Signal Hill Canadian Whisky from the Signal Hill Distillery in St. John's, Newfoundland. Comes in with an ABV stamp of 40% ABV. Non-chill filtered, and it does state it right on the packaging that it is non-chill filtered. So a non-chill filtered expression at 40%. And there's likely color added in this, guys. As far as the maturation process, it's matured in new oak barrels, ex-bourbon barrels, and ex-Canadian whiskey barrels. So you've got kind of a trifecta of different barrels in the mix there. And the mash bill is kind of interesting as well. So the mash bill, they don't specifically mention all the specs on it here, but it is primarily a mash bill that is primarily corn with a little bit of barley in it. But there is no rye whiskey in this at all, guys. This is just corn and barley in this here. So I think, this is kind of where I wanted to share with you guys. It's got some interesting profile and some interesting touch to it there. And the non-chill filtration, is very interesting, even at that 40% mark, guys. But anyways, let's get into the presentation of the bottle and take a look at it here. So right off the get-go, I like this bottle. It's a nice wide bottle here. It's a little bit thin as well. The logo is very prominently displayed here. We've got the Canadian whiskey on here as well, non-chill filtered right on here. 40% propaganda, all that jazz. Again, they do have the tasting panel sticker up here, which, right, wrong, or different. I like that it's on there. And then we've got a nice story on the back here. The story represented here is very much, about Signal Hill and, all the stuff we mentioned in the overview of the distillery. They do mention the non-chill filtration. They do mention the maturation process, and they do mention that you should experience better flavors and more mouthfeel with that non-chill filtration and experience those with that three-part trifecta of different barrels. So even at 40% at entry level, they're sharing an awful lot of information with you guys. And I like a little story to go behind my whiskey. I don't know about you guys, but this gets a big pass from me with respect to the presentation. All right, guys, let's get into the pour on the Signal Hill Canadian Whisky. Again, this is their entry level expression at 40%. We'll pour in there and take. I am going to assume that it is colored. It doesn't state anywhere that it's not, but 40%, and it's pretty dark, guys. So I'm going to go off the assumption that it is color added. The deep amber color, almost I would say maple syrup hue to it, and maybe that's just the Canadian bleeding out to me a little bit there, but I definitely see a deep amber, almost of a deep amber maple syrup. Yeah, and likely color added, but we'll take a look at it. All right, guys, with that, let's get on to the nose on the Signal Hill Canadian Whisky and take a look and see what we can dive into here. Again, mash bill is primarily corn with a little bit of barley, no rye in this one, guys. 40% on the nose and non-chill filtered. See, this is kind of what really turned me on to this whiskey a little bit, guys. Even at 40%, the nose is so, I wouldn't say unique, but it's just really, really, really nice. Again, nothing singeing the nose hairs at 40%. I don't expect that. First off the bat, I get a big dose of vanilla and a big dose of custard. And then right behind that is really, really nice, deep, dark, rich maple syrup. I get a little bit of sponge toffee in there. When I was a kid, I used to go to the hockey rink and you get sponge toffee. I think it was my dad or my mom that would buy it and they'd feed me little pieces of it. But anyways, I get the sponge toffee on there. And then deep, like rich brown sugar notes in there. And I was struggling a little bit at the back end to figure out what this kind of was. And I was really thinking about it. And what I kind of fell into was that it has a remembrance to me of like blueberry syrup. Like you would put on like a sundae as a kid or whatever. It has like this blueberry kind of sugary syrup to it. Yeah. Again, 40% guys, non-chill filtered, entry level, but it's got a lot going on for it here. And being from, I think it used to be sourced. I don't know about that now. If you guys know if it's sourced still or not, put that down in the comments. I believe it is not any longer, but being that it's from the East Coast, very, very interesting too. All right, I can't wait any longer, guys. Let's get on the palate of the Signal Hill Canadian Whisky and see what I can pull out, guys. So cheers to your health and let's get into it. Legs are pretty thin on it, but they are not just falling off the sides of the glass, which again, I like that. That comes a little bit from the non-chill filtration. You're getting those particles and stuff in there, getting those oils still in there, which leads to the legs. First off, mouthfeel, it's much better mouthfeel than a regular 40% whiskey. I'm gonna state that right off the bat. Very mouth coating, a little bit of oil to it there, but it hangs on to the sides of the walls of your mouth. And I like that. It gives you kind of that chewy bit to it there. It's got some creamy texture to it. And it's a thinner liquid, but it still has a little bit of body to it, which is really, really nice. On the palate, it really matches the nose a lot. I'm getting vanillas. I'm getting some maple glaze, like the maple glaze you would get on like a donut or whatever. Maple spread I used to have when I was a kid. You put on your toast. Anyway, maybe that's a real Canadian thing. I don't know if they still have that anymore. Going for one more sip here, guys. Toffee, brown sugar, like demerara sugar, real deep. What else am I getting on there? Some cinnamon. Like cinnamon is at the back end. It's not a big cinnamon hug by any means. It's just a little bit of cinnamon, like a cinnamon bun kind of thing going on there. And then this is kind of maybe where I'm getting it from, and maybe just the East Coast piece coming from. I get a little bit of like a saline or a saltiness to it. It's on my lips, just a little bit. Not like an Isla whiskey or nothing like that, but just enough to kind of give you that little bit of that maritime note to it there. And that's it. It's really, really nice and really, really easy sipping and fairly simplistic, not over transformational, but it's all things that I really like as a whiskey sipper. So with that, let's move into this finish and see what we can get. I'm going to go for one more sip on this Signal Hill Canadian Whisky and just kind of maybe reaffirm what I already know and give you guys my final thoughts on it. So in for one more sip, guys. I mean, I like this one obviously too, guys. Finish relatively short to medium, and really maybe I'll slash the medium. It's a short finish, guys. Very dessert-like, very sweet, a little something different there. This is not like your just regular corn whiskey. This has got a little bit more to it. I don't know if it's the maturation process that really gives it that little bit of distinction. If maybe it is the non-chill filtration, but even 40%, it just has a lot going on for it, in my opinion. Again, it's very sweet, very dessert-like. It's got those lovely kind of decadent pastries and stuff like that. Again, maple syrup, maple glaze, some cinnamon to it, blueberry syrup if for me, brown sugars, all that kind of stuff. Just very, very sweet. And it's, for someone who doesn't really always like a sweet whiskey, this is not a sweet whiskey. It's fairly sweet, don't get me wrong, but it is not over the top sweet. And the flavors are not over the top, and it's just very easy. And not to say it's smooth, but it is very easy drinking and approachable, which is something to be said as well. And with that, I'm going to move over into the value proposition now, guys. This is entry level for Signal Hill, so obviously it's going to be budget friendly, and this one really is. Comes in at a stamp of $40 at the LCBO. And I think that's a good place for it there. Tasty whiskey. Love to try the Founders Select, which has got a higher ABV. I believe it won some awards this year as well. But if it's anything like this as far as the mash bill is concerned, I mean, it's only going to dial it up a little bit there, guys. So yeah, I'm going to tell you to go out and try this one if you haven't already. I've made recommendations to a few people out there to go pick this up, especially around like Christmas time or like for a birthday or something like that. Father's Day is coming up, Mother's Day is coming up too. This is something interesting, maybe something they wouldn't always buy themselves, and it's definitely got a lot going on for it there. I should disclose too, Signal Hill did send this over to the channel for me to take a look at, so thank you guys over at Signal Hill, really appreciate that. But I like to always provide an honest review. And I'll tell you, when I first cracked this, I didn't really have high hopes for it. I didn't really think I would like it. It's going to have some grain to it, some graininess to it, whatever. But you know what? I'm really enjoying it. I'm working through it. I've had a couple cocktails with it. It makes a great old fashioned. And it's just a good one. It's a great representation of some East Coast whiskey, in my opinion. It's a great representation of, Canada's more than just rye whiskey. You got that corn, you got that barley mix in there. And I really think that little bit of chill filtration just lends a little bit of integrity to the distillery. And the fact that they're being more transparent is great too. So yeah, this is definitely a buy for me, something I might keep on the shelf, especially when I'm introducing people to Canadian whiskey, just to try something a little bit different. But yeah, it's very, very good for the price, for the value, and even at 40%, it's good, it's great. Anyways, I said great and good a lot in this one. We'll wrap it up, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in this week. That's my review of the Signal Hill Canadian Whisky. And if you like what we're doing here at Seaway Whiskywire, you guys know that drill. Like and subscribe down below. And hey, don't forget to check me out on Instagram at Seaway Whiskywire for more content. If you guys are still hanging around this long in the video, thank you so much. Love making these videos for you guys. Love coming down to the basement after a long day of work and shooting out some Canadian whiskey here, trying some stuff, and really sharing stuff that I think people might kind of turn their nose up a little bit at because it's 40%. But you know what? I think it's a great one. And again, makes a great gift. It's right in that budget frame for a gift. Where can you go wrong, guys? If they don't like it, I'm sure you'll drink it. So anyways, thank you very much, guys. I'm going to finish up my my dram here of Signal Hill Canadian Whisky, their entry level again, at $40 the LCBO. So cheers, all the best, and I'll see you around, guys. Bye for now.